In this video, we're continuing on with the infinite geometry free worksheet surface area of prisms and cylinders, picking up where we left off with number 7. Now in number 7, we're going to be finding the lateral area and the surface area of each of the figures, rounding our answer to the nearest thousandth if necessary. So let's look at number 7. Before we do this, I'm going to draw out the net of this figure. So here is my net of the solid figure in number 7. We can see that one of the legs of the two-dimensional triangle is 6, and the other leg is 8. We also can see that the hypotenuse of each of those triangles is 10. So here we have 6, 8, and 10, and again, that's 6, 8, and 10. And lastly, the height of the prism is 4. The lateral area is the area of the faces that make up the height, excluding the bases. So the shaded region is essentially the lateral area. So let's calculate that first. Well, we know the height is 4, so each of these lengths is 4. And we know that this is 8, this would be 6, and this length would be 10. So we have 10, 8, and 6. And each of these heights is 4. So there's two ways to go about doing this. We can calculate each of the rectangles that make up this lateral area and then add them together and solve, or we can look at the total rectangle, which, if you notice, is essentially the perimeter of the triangle times the height. That gives you the lateral area of this prism. So 10 was the hypotenuse plus a side length of 8 plus the side length of 6. 10 plus 8 plus 6 is going to give us 24. So the perimeter, P, is equal to 24. Now if we take that perimeter and multiply it by the height, P times H, and that's the height of the prism, we'll get the lateral area. So P of 24 times the height of 4, we're going to get our lateral area, which 24 times 4 is 96. So our lateral area is 96, and if we're dealing with kilometers, that's going to be 96 kilometers, and this is area, so that's kilometers squared. So now that we have the lateral area, in order to figure out the surface area, we just have to add our lateral area, LA for short, to the area of the bases to get our surface area, SA. So LA is lateral area for short, and SA is my shorthand for surface area. So we're going to take the lateral area of 96 kilometers squared, and we're going to add that to the area of the bases, which, since the bases are congruent, and there's 2 of them, we're just going to multiply 2 times the area of one of the bases. And remember, for a triangle, area is 1/2 the base times the height of that triangle. So it's going to be 1/2 times the legs of that right triangle, which was 8 and 6. So if we have 96 plus 2 times 1/2 is 1, and 1 will get multiplied to 8 times 6. And we know that 8 times 6 is 48. So our surface area is 96 plus 48, which is 144, and that's kilometers squared. So our lateral area is 96 kilometers squared, and our surface area is 144. So we'll have 96 kilometers squared and 144 kilometers squared. Let's move on to number 8. In number 8, we're given a cylinder. So if we were to draw the net of this cylinder, it would be a circle, a rectangle, and a circle. So the lateral area is this rectangle. And we know the height is 8 kilometers, and we're given that the diameter of the circle is 14. However, the diameter is not the length of this rectangle. We need to figure out the circumference of the circle, and that's the length of the rectangle. Think about cutting a section of the cylinder and then unrolling it. The length of that rectangle for the lateral area is going to be the circumference, and the circumference is pi times the diameter d. So the length, if the height is 8, the length of this rectangle is 14, since 14 is the diameter, times pi. So the lateral area is going to be equal to 8 times 14 pi. So 8 times 14 times pi is 351.858, which rounds to 351.86. And this is in kilometers, so area is kilometers squared. Now let's calculate the surface area. Remember, the surface area is equal to the lateral area plus the area of the bases, which, since there's two bases, it's essentially 2 times the area of one of the bases. So the lateral area is 351.86, and that's kilometers squared, and we're adding that to 2 times the area of the base, which the area of a circle is pi times r squared. Remember, the radius is half of the diameter, so the radius is equal to 1/2 times the diameter, or the diameter divided by 2. When we divide 14 by 2, r equals 14 over 2, which is 7. So that radius is 7. So now we'll plug that in. 351.86 plus 2 times pi times 7 squared. So that's the lateral area plus 2 times pi times 49, since 7 squared is 49. 2 times 49 is 98. So the surface area is equal to the lateral area of 351.86 plus 98 times pi, which is the area of both of the bases. So that'll be 659.73, and I got 736, which would round to 74. However, if you take, as opposed to adding 351.86, if we add 8 times 14 pi to 98 pi, so let's write this as 8 times 14, which was 112 pi. So if you take 112 pi and add that to 98 pi, you would get 659.734, which would round down to 0.73. So 659.73, and that's kilometers squared. So again, lateral area is essentially the perimeter of one of the bases times the height of the prism, and then surface area is that lateral area added to the area of both of the bases. And if you used this rounded value and added it to 98 pi, you would get 659.74. If you use the exact value, you would get 659.73. Let's continue on to number 9. In number 9, we have a square prism. So let's start by figuring out the lateral area. The lateral area, remember, is the perimeter of a base times the height of the prism. So in this case, the perimeter is 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. So this is a four-sided figure and is equal to 4, and the side length is equal to 7. Since all the sides are congruent, we can just multiply 4 to 7. So the perimeter is 4 times 7, and then we're going to multiply that by the height of the figure, which is 5. And that will give us 140, and our label is yards squared. So the lateral area is 140 yards squared. And now let's move on to the surface area. The surface area is equal to the lateral area plus the area of both of the bases. So since there's two bases, it's going to be 2 times the area of one of the bases. So we have the lateral area of 140 yards squared, and we're going to add that to 2 times the area of the base, which is length times width, 7 times 7, or 7 squared, which is 49. So I'll have 140 plus 2 times 49. 2 times 49 gives us 98, and adding that to 140, we'll get 238, and this is area, so that's yards squared. So lateral area is 140 yards squared, and surface area is 238 yards squared. Moving on to number 10, let's start with lateral area. Lateral area, remember, is the perimeter times the height. Well, this is a regular pentagon for the base, since it's a pentagonal prism, so the number of sides in is equal to 5, and that side length of one of the sides is 12 yards. So for lateral area, we'll have the perimeter, which is n times s, times the height. That'll be 5 times 12 for the perimeter, times the height of the figure, h, is 8 yards. 5 times 12 is 60, and when we multiply that by 8, we'll get 480, and our label is yards squared. So 480 yards squared is the lateral area in number 10. Now we'll figure out surface area. Surface area, remember, is the lateral area plus 2 times the area of one of the bases. And since we have a regular polygon, that's going to be 1/2 of the apothem times the perimeter. That's the area of a regular polygon. So our lateral area is 480 plus 2 times 1/2 is simply 1. So we're going to multiply the apothem to the perimeter. The apothem is 8.3 yards, and we're multiplying that to the perimeter, which we've already calculated as 5 times 12, the number of sides n times s. 5 times 12 is 60, and 60 times 8.3 is 498. So for our surface area, we're going to add 480 to 498. The lateral area plus the area of both of the bases. 498 plus 480 equals 978, and that's yards squared for the surface area of the pentagonal prism in number 10. In number 11, we can see that we have a height of 9 kilometers, and the legs of this right triangle are 3 and 4, and the hypotenuse is 5. So for lateral area, we're going to add up the side lengths to get to the perimeter, which is 3 plus 4 plus 5, and we're going to multiply that by the height of the prism, which is 9. So lateral area, 3 plus 4 is 7, 7 plus 5 is 12, 12 times 9 will give us that lateral area, which is 108, and our label is kilometers for side length, so it's 108 kilometers squared for the lateral area. Now that we have lateral area, we'll be able to calculate surface area, because surface area is equal to the lateral area plus the area of both of the bases. And there's 2 triangles for the base, so that's going to be 2 times the area of one of those triangles. And remember, for a triangle, it's 1/2 the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. And in a right triangle, that's the length of the legs. So that's going to be 1/2 of one leg, which is 3, times the other leg, which is 4. So plugging in lateral area of 108, we're going to add that to 2 times 1/2 times 3 times 4. 2 times 1/2 is simply 1, and 3 times 4 is 12. So our surface area is 108 plus 12, which again is the lateral area plus the area of both of the bases. 108 plus 12 is 120, and this is kilometers squared. So lateral area is 108 and surface area is 120 for number 11. In number 12, for lateral area, we're going to have to calculate the perimeter, which is the sum of each of the sides of that trapezoid within the trapezoidal prism. So one base of the trapezoid is 7 yards, so that's 7 plus the sides are congruent and one side length is 4. However, there's 2 of them, so we'll do 4 plus 4, and then we're going to add the other base of that trapezoid, which is 3. So that's the perimeter, P, and that's going to get multiplied by the height of the prism, which is 6 yards. 7 plus 4 plus 4 plus 3 is going to be 18, and 18 times 6 will give us our lateral area of 108, and this is yards squared. So again, for lateral area, we took the perimeter of one of the bases and multiplied that by the height of the entire prism. Now for surface area, we're going to take the lateral area and add that to 2 times the area of a base. And it's 2 times the area of the base since there's 2 identical bases. That's equal to surface area. So let's calculate the area of a base. For the area of a trapezoid, our formula is 1/2 of B1 plus B2 times the height of that trapezoid, or the altitude. So for this trapezoid, we'll have 1/2. One of the bases, remember, was 7 yards, plus the other base of that trapezoid was 3, and the altitude is marked by that red dashed line, which is 3.5. So we'll have 1/2 times 10 times 3.5. And that's equal to 17.5. So the area of one of the bases is 17.5. So for surface area, we'll take the lateral area of 108 and add that to 2 times the area of one of those bases, one of the trapezoids, which was 17.5. So that'll be 108 plus 2 times 17.5, which is 35. So 108 plus 35 gives us 143, and this is yards squared for the surface area. In number 13 and 14, we're going to find the lateral area and the surface area of each of the figures. However, now we're going to be rounding to the nearest tenth as opposed to the nearest thousandth. And as opposed to giving us a diagram, they're just writing out the lengths in words. So we have a hexagonal prism, which means that the number of sides n for a base is 6. And if the prism is 6 feet tall, that's the height of the prism itself. And since the base is regular, the side length of each of those sides is 9 feet. And it also tells us that the apothem is 7.8 feet. So remember, lateral area is the perimeter, n times s, for a regular polygon, times the height of the prism. N is 6, s is 9, and h is also 6. So the number of sides, 6 times the side length of 9 feet, times the height, 6 times 9 times 6 is equal to 324, and that is feet squared, since the measurements are in feet. So 324 feet squared is the lateral area. Now surface area is equal to the lateral area plus the area of both of the bases. And if it's a hexagonal prism, there's 2 hexagons for the base. So 2 times the area of one of those regular hexagons. That's 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter, which is n times s. So we're going to have 324 feet, which was our lateral area, plus 2 times 1/2 is 1. So essentially we're just going to multiply the apothem, which is 7.8 for the apothem, times 6 times 9, our perimeter. Because the side length s is 9, and the number of sides for that hexagon is 6. So that would be 324 plus 7.8 times 6 times 9, which the area of both of the bases is equal to 421.2. And when we add that to 324, we'll get the total surface area, which is 745.2, and that's feet squared, since we're dealing with area. 745.2 feet squared. And lastly in this video, we'll go over number 14. However, before I do the answer to this, please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. All likes and subscriptions are greatly appreciated. So in number 14, it tells us that we have a prism that's 2 meters tall. So the height is going to be equal to 2. The base is a trapezoid whose parallel sides measure 7 meters and 3 meters. So base 1 of the trapezoid is equal to 7, and the other base of that trapezoid is 3. The other sides are each 4 meters. The sides of a trapezoid that are not parallel are congruent. So the other sides are both 4. So first let's calculate the perimeter of this trapezoid. The perimeter P of the base of this trapezoid is going to be the base 1 plus base 2, 7 plus 3, plus the 2 other sides, which are each 4. So 4 plus 4. 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 4 will be 18. So the perimeter is 18 for the trapezoid. And it also gives us the altitude of that trapezoid, which is 3.5. So let's calculate the area of the trapezoid. So the area of one of the trapezoids is 1/2 base 1 plus base 2, 7 plus 3, times the altitude or the height of that trapezoid, which is 3.5. So the area of the trapezoid is 1/2 0.5 times 7 plus 3, which is 10. So that'll give us 5, and then we're multiplying that to 3.5, which is 17.5. Now let's calculate the lateral area and the surface area given the perimeter of the trapezoid is 18 and the area of that base is 17.5. lateral area equals the perimeter of the base, which we calculated to be 18, times the height of the prism, which is 2 meters tall. So the lateral area, 18 times 2, is 36, and since everything's in meters, area is meters squared. Now let's calculate the surface area. Surface area is equal to the lateral area plus 2 times the area of one of the bases, which we calculated, the area of the trapezoid, the area of the base, to be 17.5. So we're going to have 36 plus 2 times 17.5 is 36 plus 35. So the surface area is going to be equal to 71, and that's meters squared. So again, lateral area is essentially the perimeter of one of the bases times the height, and then surface area, we're taking that lateral area and adding that to 2 times the area of one of the bases, which is essentially the sum of both the bases. And with that, we finish out this worksheet. As always, like, subscribe, and share. Also, don't forget to leave a comment below.